This is the second part in our I2C mini terminal assembly series. Next we will add the potentiometer and a 100 ohm resistor that are used to control the contrast on our LCD. Well, first of all, there are two resistors in the kit. In this particular kit, the 100 ohm resistor is blue, but you make sure that you check this and that you don't accidentally use the 10K ohm resistor. The difference is that the 100 ohm has the black, black, brown, whereas the 10K has the, well, this has, excuse me, the brown, black, black, whereas the 10K has the brown, black, orange. Okay, first we put the 100K ohm resistor in position, and then we add the potentiometer. It's going to, okay, it stands off. No need to push it in. Just let it stand off like that. Okay, and then we solder the pieces. And as usual, using our safety glasses, we cut off the legs for the resistor. Okay, there we go. The next thing we'll add is the diode. The diode, in this case, has some tapes on the end. We just pull those tapes off, and we bend the legs. And we notice that there's a little gray or silver stripe on the diode, and that lines up with the line on the printed circuit board. So we put it in this side, as like so. Put that in, push it down, and get it more or less square, like this, more or less square. Solder it. This may take a little more heating because the legs are pretty large. It's yeah, you have to be careful because these legs are a little larger than what you're used to, and you want to make sure that the solder join is shiny. Make sure it's got enough heat. We'll clip these off. Bingo, blind somebody. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses, and anybody in the room is wearing safety glasses. All right, next thing let's put on here is this header for our FTDI circuit. The FTDI brings the USB, converts it to TTL serial that can be used by our little Arduino clone chip up here, and it's got a bend. You put the bent side down like so. Just press it into place. It should look like this, and then we'll solder those legs on there. Okay, there you go. It's soldered on. Next, we have two sets of 3 each male headers. They go side by side onto this little pad. That is our ISP connector in case we ever want to do ISP programming of our little Arduino clone chip up here. We put these in side by side like so, press them into place, turn it over. They should stay. Make sure they're out enough to solder, and solder them in position. Okay, that's all soldered. Not the best looking joint, but cut. Next, we're going to solder in the female header for our LCD. This is 14 pins, 7 by 2. Just place it in position like this, turn it over, and we solder all these pins. Okay. Solder the pin. Okay. Pins are all soldered. That's in position. All right, and this is cut, cut, cut. The pad's a little long, a little short rather, for the resistor. What we have here is a 1/4 watt resistor. You may have an 1/8 watt resistor in your kit, in which case you don't have to do this, but if you got the 1/4 watt, you want to bend the legs a little bit like this so that they are narrower and will fit these pins. See these 2 holes here on this side. All right. Once in position, it should look relatively flat like this, not bent up on one side, and the legs, come out. Let's solder these legs on. Okay, solder the legs and check. Make sure it's still square and flat on this end. Then again, safety glasses, clip. We've got one more thing to solder on. This is our 4-pin female header that brings the I2C serial connections from some other device, and also brings ground and your voltage. Place that in position. Okay, we hold it in position, and this is another one where we need to be real careful to make sure it lines up square. So we're going to tack one leg on, tack the leg a little bit. Let's make sure it's held, and then we look at it. See, that's not square. We want to square it up, bend it till it's square. Now what I'll do is I'm going to press this down with my finger, and I'm going to reheat that solder joint. Try not to burn yourself when you do this. Okay, that makes it square. Okay, then we solder the rest of the part, pieces, legs. Now I've got one more thing. The LCD and the 7 legs. These are the male headers. They go in with the long ends, the short ends facing the top of the LCD, and the long ends facing the bottom. Okay? Now these, we have to be very careful about getting them square. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tack one pin for each leg, examine it. Does it look relatively square? Yes. And then we want to make sure to put it in the connection here. And we see it's a little wide, but not too much. Now we just press it in. Does everything look okay? Everything looks okay? Well, let's go ahead and just leave it like that and solder it with it held in position. I'm going to solder each of these pins. Okay, each of these pins is now soldered, and we'll pull this off. Okay, and now we're going to place our Atmega 328P, again with the 2 yellow dots, the divot to indicate where pin 1 is, and pull this off the little foam. Notice where pin 1 is, pin 1, pin 1. Now a little bit of a problem here, these legs aren't completely squared down. They're flared a little bit. It's used for automatic placement machines. So you have to be careful when you put it in. Put the legs in from one side first. Just put them in gently. And then you push the other side so that it lines up like that. And when they're all lined up, you'll notice right here I've got one leg off. If I'd have pressed that in, that might have bent that leg. So we're careful about making sure that all the legs are properly lined up before we press this in. The reason you do this is if you bend these legs, you can bend them once or twice, or maybe even 3 times. But eventually they fatigue very quickly. 2 or 3 bends and they'll break. And if you break the leg off, well, you may have ruined your device. So press them in carefully and firmly. Now you can put the LCD on the top again, making sure you get the legs lined up. You can peel the fabric off, and your device is finished, ready for testing.